don't want to name names, but I will do. If those standing can please be seated. Friends all, against this magnificent backdrop of the Houses of Parliament, in the heart of our capital city, in the heart of Westminster, we come together again this evening as proud Jews to remember the Shoah, to remember the worst that anti-Jewish hatred has ever brought about. And I therefore want to welcome you all here in person and the many thousands more watching online in the United Kingdom and abroad to our very special Yom HaShoah event. This event remains unique in the support it receives from across the whole Jewish community. We speak as one when we mark Yom HaShoah. Last year we came together in this wonderful setting in our thousands to mark the 80th anniversary of the end of the Shoah. And this evening we again come together next to the Mother of Parliament to mark the 81st anniversary. But 81 is not a milestone in the sense that the 80th anniversary was. But as each year passes and the number of survivors inevitably diminishes, our pledge never to forget becomes all the more important. Remembrance means more than just marking an anniversary. And to ensure that that remembrance continues, it is vital that the younger generations in our community come forward to accept the responsibility, accept the commitment, make the pledge that the 6 million of our people who would have chosen life, but who had that choice cruelly taken from them, are remembered and never forgetting. And we need that commitment from each and every one of every age here and at home. Each year on Yom HaShoah, we and Jewish communities all over the world pause, reflect, and remember what happened in the Holocaust. We pause and reflect and remember the appalling consequences of anti-Jewish racism during the Shoah, and this year we mark Yom HaShoah mindful of the fact that all over the world anti-Semitism continues to exist and unhappily to thrive, especially since October the 7th, 2023. Since we last came together here in the United Kingdom, we've had the murder of 2 people at the Heaton Park Synagogue in Manchester and the arson on the ambulances of Hatzolah in northwest London. But this evening we come together to remember the particular loss that was the Shoah. That loss was 63% of the pre-war European Jewish population. And that loss remains with us because the Jewish population of the world is still below that of 1939. So Yom HaShoah is introspective. It's personal for us. It's not National Holocaust Memorial Day. It's our day. And we stand here as proud Jews to mark it. But we don't do that alone, and I'm very pleased to welcome many distinguished guests from outside our community who've joined us on this very special occasion. We're joined this evening by many diplomatic representatives, members of both Houses of Parliament, faith leaders and local government representatives. Thank you for being here with us. It's particularly striking to see the Chelsea pensioners sitting over there who've come with us to mark Yom HaShoah. Thank you for being here. So, my friends, today is when we come together to mourn our loss, to tell the story, and to remember the 6 million. but also to renew our pledge that they will not be forgotten. And we come together because we owe it to each and every one of those 6 million to ensure that their memories live on. And we'll remember the victims of the Shoah in a number of different ways this evening. We'll reflect in our traditional way. We will honor our survivors and refugees. And I want to welcome the unhappily all too few numbers of survivors who are here with us in person. It's wonderful that you're able to be here. You are important witnesses, but when you are with us no more, your witness, your testimony must live on through the generations to come. And we will ensure that that happens because we owe it to them and to each one of the 6 million to renew our pledge, to make our commitment never to forget. And that is why we are here this evening. We mark it in the one moment as one community with one commitment: never forget. Thank you. And we begin with the Yad Vashem law, we commune. And I invite Daniela Grudzki-Eckstein, the Chargé d'Affaires at the Embassy of Israel to the United Kingdom, to come forward.
Good evening. To ensure that the memory of one of history's darkest chapters is never lost, the Yad Vashem law, enacted in 1953 by the Knesset, protects the memory of the 6 million Jewish people who perished during the Holocaust. The law is as follows. On the 27th of Nisan, Holocaust Martyrs and Heroes Remembrance Day, we pay tribute to the memory of the 6 million members of our nation who perished as tormented martyrs at the hands of the Nazis and their helpers. Of the communities and families of the House of Jacob that were destroyed and obliterated in the heinous scheme to eradicate the name and civilization of Israel from under heaven. We remember with respectful awe the fortitude of Jews who gave their lives for their people in the sanctity and purity, the heroic stand of those quarantined in the ghettos, and of the fighters who rose and kindled the flame of rebellion to redeem their people's honor, the lofty, relentless struggle of the Jewish masses for their humanity and their Jewish civilization, and the righteous among the nations who saved Jews at the risk of their own lives. As we remember this law, it is as significant today as it was 73 years ago. Our ancestor memories are not only a source of mourning, but a call to action for all of us who stand against hatred wherever it appears. The last year has, unfortunately, showed us the Jewish communities around the world are still under threat. The Jewish community in the UK is one of the strongest I have ever seen. Yet people continue to challenge us, to challenge our right to be here and live our full Jewish lives. Let me be very clear. The State of Israel stands with you. The State of Israel stands with the entire Jewish community in the fight against anti-Semitism in this country. Words are not enough. Anti-Semitism must be tackled with the full force of the law, through leadership at the highest ranks of government and through the shared responsibility of all members of society. This is not our trouble to bear alone. Let us be proud of our identity, proud of our heritage, proud to be Jewish. Let us honor the memory of those we lost, not only with words, but with unwavering resolve to stand against hatred in all its forms. Together, we will remember, we will stand strong, and we will ensure that the promise of never again remains unbroken.
סיימת לאבותינו והיא שעמדה לאבותינו ולנו שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו עמד עלינו לכלותנו
והיא שעמד על אבותינו והיא שעמדה לאבותינו ולנו שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו עמד עלינו לכלותנו
והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מצילנו מידיו
והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מצילנו
והיא שעמדה לאבותינו והיא שעמדה לאבותינו ולנו שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו עמד עלינו לכלותנו והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מצילנו מידיו
והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מצילנו מידיו
שלא אחד בלבד עמד עלינו לכלותנו
והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מידיו
full name for our Communal Remembrance Day is Yom HaShoah v'Hagavura, the Day of Remembrance of the Holocaust and the Heroism. The original Hebrew date chosen to mark Yom HaShoah was set to fall on the anniversary of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. It reminds us that it is not only important to remember the victims of the Holocaust, but also to pay tribute to its Jewish heroes and their many acts of bravery. This year, I share these words on behalf of the next generation of our community, from our youth groups, movements and organisations to the 10,000 Jewish students that I represent as president of the Union of Jewish Students. We do not take remembrance for granted. We honour our community's pledge and vow to carry the flame forward with clarity and courage. Our generation must once again stand against hatred, against silence and against indifference. Not with weapons, but with our identity, our voice, and our Jewish pride, as British Jews, rooted here and standing firm. This is the spirit we carry forward, and the one we want the world to see. Resilient, defiant, and outwardly, openly Jewish, especially as we stand here outside the Mother of Parliaments, on the very ground where the new National Holocaust Memorial will be built. 83 years ago, on 19th of April, 1943, the eve of Pesach, the Germans entered the Warsaw Ghetto, intending to begin its final liquidation. They were met with fierce resistance. In response to earlier deportations, several underground organisations had formed. The Jewish Combat Organisation and the Jewish Military Union worked together to oppose attempts to destroy the ghetto. They obtained weapons, not much in comparison to Nazi weaponry, but for 4 weeks they fought back, resisting with all they had and stalling the Nazis' plans to liquidate the ghetto. Despite the bravery of those in the ghetto, on the 16th of May 1943, the Nazis brought the uprising to a brutal end. Thousands of Jews died, fighting or hiding in the ghetto during those 4 weeks. In his final letter before he was murdered, the leader of the uprising, Mordechai Anielewicz, wrote, "I feel that what we have dared to do is of enormous significance. The dream has been fulfilled. Jewish self-defense in the ghetto has become a fact." News of the Warsaw Ghetto uprising spread quickly and inspired poet and partisan Hirsch Glick to write the lyrics "Zog nit kein Mol," never say this is the final road for you. This song became an anthem of defiance. Jewish partisans in the forests and ghettos of Lithuania, Belarus and Poland sang these words to give them courage to fight for their survival. In these times of uncertainty, we draw strength from their courage and from the remarkable survivors and refugees who rebuilt their lives, families and communities here in the United Kingdom. We must hold firm to our place in British society, embrace our Jewishness with pride, and never let hostility cow us into insularity. In tribute to those who survived and those who were killed, in an echo of their defiance, we are privileged to hear the partisan song, Zog nit kein Mol, performed for us now. Thank you.
Sag nicht kein Mal, als du gehst zum letzten Weg. Gott schimmlen Bläuene, verstellen Bläue Tag. Kommen wird noch unser ausgebänkte Schor. Das Wetter bringt und unser Trott, wir sehnen da. Kommen wird noch unser ausgebänkte Schor. Das Wetter bringt und unser Trott, wir sehnen da.
Von grünem Palmenland bis Weinland und Schnee. Wir kommen noch mit unser Pein, mit unser Weh. Und wo gefallen sie, so spritzt von unser Blut. Sprotzen wird doch unser Quurer, unser Mut. Und wo gefallen sie, so spritzt von unser Blut. Sprotzen wird doch unser Quurer, unser Mut.
For us the morning sun will radiate the day, and the enemy and past will fade away. But should the dawn delay or sunrise wait too long, then let all future generations sing this song. But should the dawn delay or sunrise wait too long, then let all future generations sing this song.
Das Leben ist mit Blut und nicht mit Blei. Sie ist nicht kein Lied von Weugelachte frei. Das hat der Volk der Wischenfall der linke Welt. Das Lied gesungen im Gangen in die Hände. Das hat der Volk der Wischenfall der linke Welt. Das Lied gesungen in eines in der Hand.
I said we had many friends from outside the Jewish community here with us tonight, and it's now my privilege to introduce Cabinet Minister, the Right Honourable Steve Reid, OBE MP, to come and address us. Steve was first elected as an MP for Streatham and Croydon North in July of 2024, served as Secretary of State for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, but now is the Secretary of State for Housing, Communities and Local Government, which is the department which will oversee the construction of the National Holocaust Memorial in these gardens. Welcome.
Thank you, Henry. Thank you. And thank you very much for giving me the honour of being with you all this evening for Yom HaShoah, to remember the 6 million Jewish men, women and children who were murdered in the Holocaust, and to honour the survivors who carry that memory with them every day. Memory doesn't survive by accident. It needs people who are willing to hold it, to share it, and to safeguard it. And that responsibility belongs to all of us, not just for today, but for every generation that follows us. I can still vividly remember my own sense of horror when, as a young boy growing up, I first learned about the Holocaust. It was impossible to believe that such appalling crimes could have taken place, and so recently, and so close to home. Many years later, as a Member of Parliament, I saw the same response amongst young students from my constituency when I joined them on a visit to Auschwitz. They responded just as I once had, with shock, with sorrow, and with a determination that this we must never forget. Few lessons could be more painful, more stark, or more necessary for a new generation. And that is part of the reason that I remain deeply committed to building a National Holocaust Memorial and Learning Centre right here beside the Houses of Parliament. It will be a place where our nation can come together to reflect, to understand the warning signs of hatred, and to ensure that the lessons of the Holocaust are remembered and carried forwards. A place rooted not only in history, but in hope. Hope that future generations will learn, question, and stand firm against anti-Semitism and all forms of prejudice. As we mark Yom HaShoah, let us carry forward the memory of those who suffered and those who survived. Let us honour their courage by ensuring their stories do not dim with time. And let us commit ourselves personally, collectively, wholeheartedly to building a future where hatred has no home. Because today is not only a day of mourning, it is a day of vigilance. And I want to say clearly to our Jewish community. Your safety, your security, and your freedom to live openly and freely as Jews in the United Kingdom matter. And we are committed to stamping out anti-Semitism wherever and however it manifests. We remember those who were killed at Heaton Park Synagogue in Manchester, Melvin Kravitz and Adrian Dolby. And we honour the courage of those who, in the face of danger, protected others and prevented further loss of life. And when community services like the Hatzolah ambulances are attacked, then we defend them and we ensure their work continues without interruption. This evening, we are about to be honoured to hear from Dr. Lydia Tischler. Lydia was born in Ostrava, in what was then Czechoslovakia, in 1929. She survived Auschwitz-Birkenau and 2 periods of imprisonment in Terezin. In August 1945, she was brought to the United Kingdom as one of the boys and stayed in Windermere before her father came to collect her. I'm always struck not only by the endurance of survivors, but by what they chose to build afterwards. Lydia went on to become a pioneer in child psychotherapy, dedicating her life to helping others to heal. And in 2022, she opened her home to a Ukrainian mother and her daughter. On this Yom HaShoah, we remember the murdered. We honour the survivors. We recommit ourselves to fighting anti-Semitism and to defending the dignity of every human being. Please give the warmest welcome to Dr. Lydia Tischler.
God must be on our side. It's not raining. Thank you very much for your introduction. You've given me a title which I haven't earned. I am not a doctor. I am plain Mrs. Shalom, everybody. Where is the children's choir? Over there, yes. I believe you are all about 10 years old, am I right? Older? I can't hear. I see, okay. I'm not speaking clearly. I believe you're about 10 years old, the choir, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I was 10 years old. I was about your age when Hitler, without an invitation, invaded my country and started making the life of Jews very miserable, in stages, slowly, ending up in one concentration camp after another. First in Terezin, which in itself was something of a paradox. We were hungry, not starving, just hungry. We had no freedom, but we had a very rich cultural life because all the artists and intellectuals were, of course, also incarcerated with us. And as a 12-year-old, I heard Verdi's Requiem. Never in my life would I have heard it if I had stayed in Ostrava. In Terezin, I was for 2 years, and after Terezin, I went to Auschwitz as a volunteer to go with my mother and sister, where we stayed for 3 days. I won't go into the details of the horrors that were Auschwitz. Unfortunately, my mother was killed there. My sister and I were sent to a work camp in Germany, a town called Öderan, which is in Saxony. We were very lucky because the whole town had a central heating system, which included the building where we were housed. So at least we were not cold, though we were more or less always hungry. I was working out. One of the things the Germans were trying to do as they were losing the war was to convert every factory into a munitions factory. And we were detailed to dig a trench leading from one factory to another. I was very good with a pneumatic drill and digging the road. Luckily, no cartridge ever left the factory when we finally managed to install some machines, because the machines, the knives, the circular knives, broke every time when we were trying to cut the cartridges. We ended up in Terezin at the end of the war, where the Russians liberated us on the 8th of May, 1945. And as it was already mentioned, I came to England shortly afterwards. In England, I decided to work with children, and I didn't know quite what form it will take, but I worked in a children's home for children with problems, and the director of that children's home was a psychologist who was training with Anna Freud, and she introduced us to Anna Freud's way of looking at children, which we had to do by making observations and writing down on cards. One of the things I learned from Miss Freud and Ruth Thomas, as she was called, was that all behavior has meaning. One just has to look for it and understand it. Eventually, I trained with Miss Freud when she set up a training for child psychoanalysts, and I then pursued this profession until actually today. I don't see children anymore, but I do teach, and strangely enough, the two countries in which I teach is China and Russia. I actually did visit Russia 2 years ago with a colleague of mine, but most of the work is done on Zoom, and we are teaching them how to work with children and how to understand both their troubled behavior and their ordinary behavior. And I'm very lucky that I can still go on working to this day. Thank you.
Shemor she'erit HaMekadosh ve'ale yovad goy kadosh.
To Mrs. Tischler, I think I'd say that if we here tonight had the power to confer a doctorate on you, it would be done by acclamation. Thank you so much for your words. Yom HaShoah UK lost an important figure this year. Jeffrey Pinnock, OBE, former chair of Yom HaShoah UK and of Yad Vashem UK. Many of you here may not have heard of him. He was not a survivor, but I assure you that he may have done more for Holocaust remembrance in this country than almost anyone else over the past 50 years. He was a man of integrity and humility, whose quiet but firm behind-the-scenes leadership helped shape how we remember and why it matters, including the placement of over 200 Legacy of the Holocaust boards across the country in synagogues, schools, and community buildings. We miss him greatly. In his honor, his family piloted a poetry competition this year at Jews Free School, with the hope that it will grow and reach more schools in the year ahead. And we're really pleased that so many of his family can be here with us tonight. Shortly, we will hear the winning poem, written and presented by Shana Cowan. But before she reads it, here is a brief recollection in her own words. The poem, entitled Sarah, I'm Sorry, reminds us of the responsibility to remember not only 6 million, but each individual life. Through the story of Sarah Gurovich, a child murdered before the age of 12, it challenges how easily names can become numbers. And it shows, says Shana, how remembering even one name can become an act of defiance. Please now welcome Shana Cowan, winner of this year's inaugural Jeffrey Pinnock Shoah Poetry Competition.
We raise our voices to Hashem. Choiceless choices chosen for them, husband without wife, mother without child, the bodies of our people burnt and defiled. They've tried to destroy us bechol dor vador, like Haman's decree and like Paro's before. 6 million brothers and sisters no more. Sarah, I'm sorry. There are people who try and deny. They claim that we lie about how many died. It never happened and/or it wasn't enough. Their logic is flawed. Contradictory rhetoric it's called. Hatred just changes its garments. As deniers experience cognitive dissonance as we stand here with empirical evidence, our existence a miracle, proof of our permanence. Sarah, I'm sorry. And so we carry the light of the flames that were snuffed. We try remember the names we don't remember enough. We cry for those who weren't laid to rest. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be blessed. Sarah, I'm sorry. 6 million may not have survived, but their memories too die if we don't keep them alive. Amalek didn't vanish, just learnt to disguise. From swords to gas, from pogroms to lies. Try name a victim of the Shoah if you can remember one who isn't Anne Frank or a family member. Their names taken away, given a number by those with a wicked agenda. But we also speak of a collective 6 million without putting it into perspective. Sarah, I'm sorry. And so when I was asked to name a single soul who passed away, the fact that I couldn't has since weighed on me as I said I can't in a little whisper, forgetting Sarah Gurovich with whom I twinned for my bat mitzvah. Uv'chol zot shimcha lo shachachnu. I will always remember you, and Sarah, I'm sorry.
Mishkan nevne lahadar kevodo
Uva Mishkan Mizbeach achi lekanei odo
The Yellow Candle Project is managed by Maccabi Great Britain, and they have distributed many thousands of yellow candles this year with the aim of bringing our community together as one, from the private spaces in our homes to those of us gathered here. Each candle comes together with a small card that bears the name of one of the 6 million victims of the Shoah, so that each individual may be remembered. When we light the 6th candle here, I will ask those of you watching at home to light yours. Each candle will be lit by a survivor or refugee, accompanied by a representative of our religious organizations and representatives of the second and third generations. The first candle, which may have been lit, the first candle is lit to honor those who managed to survive the darkest hours of history, and it's lit by George Tyrrell from Czechoslovakia, who was held at Terezin. He's accompanied by Joe Gross, the Chief Executive Officer of the United Synagogue, and Angela Cohen, MBE, and Craig Rinder. Father and grandfather of theirs was Moshe Malanicki, one of the boys. We light our second candle in memory of all the innocent victims, whether Jew or Gentile, who perished at the hands of the Nazis in the days of the Holocaust. And this candle is lit by Joe Schlesinger, born in Brussels, hidden in a convent. His father was killed in Auschwitz-Birkenau, and his mother was hidden in a cellar. And he's accompanied by Alan Finlay, the Emeritus President of the Federation of Synagogues, and members, I think Maurice Michael, Nathan, Lucy, and Amy Helfgott, members of the family of the late and great lamented Sir Ben Helfgott. We light the third candle to ensure the never-ending memory of those innocent victims killed in the Shoah. And this candle will be lit by Shari Goldberg, wife of Manfred Goldberg. Shari was born in Vienna, and Manfred, who did so much for Holocaust education, was born in Germany. And she's accompanied by Rabbi Amir Elitav, the senior rabbi of the Sephardi community, and Julia Kay and family, whose father was again the great lamented Harry Chaim Olmer. We light the fourth candle to honor the righteous Gentiles who risked their lives in attempts to save the Jews of Europe. And this candle is lit by Sarah Maidan. Born in Bulgaria, she was put in a holding area in Bulgaria before being taken to a camp and before liberation. And she's accompanied by Ricky Williams and Samantha Cohen. Ricky on behalf of Mazorti Judaism and the Noam Youth Movement, and Samantha, a lay leader at the New North London Synagogue. And they're accompanied by Marilyn Turgle, whose father, Sam Gardner, will be remembered by many of us. The fifth candle is lit to honor the 1.5 million children murdered by the Nazi tyranny. And this candle is lit by Miriam Melser, the wife of Jacob Melser. He was born in Warsaw and was put in many working camps. And she's accompanied by Rabbi Vadim Blumin, the head of the Jewish Agency UK and Western Europe, and also by Hyman Wolanski to honor his mother, Eva Wolanski. And as we come to light the sixth candle, will those of you at home please light your own yellow candles? We light this sixth candle for the lost generations and for what they would have brought to the world in art, science, medicine, and in all walks of life, all lost. And this candle will be lit by Mrs. Lydia Tischler, MBE, who, as we heard, was born in Czechoslovakia, went through Terezin and Auschwitz. And she's accompanied by Rabbi Rebecca Burke, representing Finchley Progressive Synagogue, and Bernice Kennett, whose mother was Gina Turgle, who so many of us remember, and whose grandson Johnny is one of our chazanim tonight. this concludes our candle lighting ceremony.
Exactly 1 year ago, we stood here at this iconic site where the United Kingdom Holocaust Memorial and Learning Center will be established in order to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the end of the Holocaust. I believe that our commemoration this evening of the 81st anniversary is even more significant. And I say that because this evening marks a transition from milestone remembrance to continuous national responsibility. This evening we make a pledge and we declare to our precious survivors, it's not just on special anniversaries that we come together in order to remember the Holocaust. We remember the Holocaust always. In the Torah, with regard to Amalek, Hashem gives us a double imperative, Zachor and Lo Tishkach. Zachor means you must remember, and Lo Tishkach implies you must do everything you can with heroism in order to guarantee that the world will never forget. We saw such Jewish heroism being displayed in April 1943 in the Warsaw Ghetto, when Mordechai Anelevich and those around him rebelled against the Nazis, Yimach Shmam, as a result of which this very day of Yom HaShoah takes place on the anniversary of the Warsaw Ghetto uprising. And it is Holocaust and Heroism Day, Yom HaShoah veHagevurah. We recall such Jewish heroism taking place at Clifford's Tower in York in 1190, at Masada in the year 73, as indeed it was displayed 2.5 centuries before by the Maccabees against the ancient Greeks. And I saw that Jewish heroism at hand when in December of last year I visited Sydney in the immediate aftermath of the Bondi Beach terrorist attack. And there I saw a most extraordinary Australian Jewish community heroically determined to guarantee not only that Jewish life would continue, but rather it would thrive and would be even stronger than it had been before. And isn't that exactly the type of Jewish heroism which we witnessed at Heaton Park Synagogue in Manchester on the 2nd of October, Yom Kippur, when 2 precious members were murdered by a terrorist, and when Rabbi Daniel Walker and his community said, we're going to carry on davening the Yom Kippur services. We will thrive. We'll be even stronger than we were before. And we saw such Jewish heroism being displayed on the streets of Golders Green, when just before Pesach, 4 Hatzalah ambulances were burnt, and the response of our community has been absolutely extraordinary, and as a result, Hasara is larger and even better equipped now to save lives than it has ever been. But if you want to see true Jewish heroism, all you need to do is to consider our extraordinary, wonderful, legendary Holocaust survivors, wonderful women and men, who commit their entire existence to guarantee that the world will never forget the suffering that they and their families endured. And so this evening, 81 years after the end of the Shoah, we declare to our survivors, it won't just be on special anniversaries, it won't only be on annual occasions, but on each and every day throughout every year, we pledge that we will ensure that the world will never forget the Shoah, in order that never again should be just that. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, va'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru, Amen.
Thank you, Chief Rabbi. We now come to the memorial prayer, El Molei Rachamim, which will be recited by Chazan Johnny Turgle. Will those of you who are able to, please stand.
El Molei Rachamim Shochein b'maromim Hamtzei menucha nechona Al kanefei Hashechina b'ma'alot kedoshim utehorim kezohar rakiyam azirim lenishmot sheishet milyonei acheinu b'nei Yisrael anashim nashim vataf shenehergu ושנשחטו שנחנקו ושנשרפו ושנקברו Kiddush Hashem Bauschwitz Majdanek Treblinka Mauthausen Bergen-Belsen Uvishar Machanot Hashmada Bidei Hanatzim V'ozreihem Yemach Shemam Ba'avur Kulanu mitpalelim Lilui Nishmatam לכן בעל הרחמים הסתירם סתר כנפיך לעולמים וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתם בגן עדן תהי מנוחתם אדוני הוא נחלתם וינוחו בשלום על משכבם ונאמר
Kaddish for the 6 million of our dead. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, Balma divrach Yerutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon, v'chayei dekol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'izman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach l'olam olmei olmaya. Yitborach, v'yittabach, v'yitpa'ah, v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitada, v'yitalev, v'yithalal, shemei dekudasha, b'richu, le'elam, min kol berchata, v'shirata, tushbechata, v'nechemata, di'amiram ba'alma, v'imru, amen. Yehei shlom rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, Ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Today, on Yom HaShoah, we gather in solemn remembrance of one of the darkest chapters in human history. We remember the 6 million Jews murdered in the Shoah, men, women, and children whose lives were stolen simply because they were Jewish. We honor their memory, their dignity, and the worlds that were destroyed with them. We also pay tribute to the survivors, who endured unimaginable horror and rebuilt their lives with courage and resilience. Their testimonies ensure that the voices of the victims are never silenced. They are our inspiration today. Let's give a round of applause to our heroic survivors. The Shoah was not only a catastrophe for European Jewry, it reshaped Jewish life across the world. Its reverberations are still felt today in our families, our communities, and our collective consciousness. The trauma did not end in 1945. It lives on in memory and in our responsibility to remember. Tonight, we remember, we mourn, and we commit to education and vigilance so that this immense tragedy can never be repeated. And we must confront a troubling reality. 6 months ago, we witnessed the deadliest attack in British Jewish history since medieval times at Heaton Park Synagogue in Manchester. Just last month, an anti-Semitic arson attack targeted ambulances in the heart of London's Jewish community in Golders Green. There are also those in our own time, well-known public figures, including Kanye West, who have openly described themselves as Nazis and sought to glorify Nazi ideology. This is not only offensive, it is a direct affront to the memory of the millions who perished and to the attacks of the Nazis on this country. We are, of course, sympathetic to mental health challenges, but the place to test that contrition was not on the main stage at the Wireless Festival. And we were not prepared to let that stand. As a community, we made clear our objection. Kanye was canned and Wireless was tied in knots. We thank the government for listening to the concerns of British Jews and preventing him from entering the country. Let the message go out far and wide. Nazism does not pay, it will not pay, and it will never be allowed to pay. Remembering the Shoah is not passive. It is a call to vigilance, moral clarity and action. That is why we thank the cross-party consensus that worked to pass legislation to allow a Holocaust Memorial and Learning Centre to stand right here, right beside Parliament in perpetuity. And thank you again to the Community Secretary who got it done. Thank you, Steve Reed. Remembering the Holocaust is a mission that passes from generation to generation. The late, great and much missed Sir Ben Helfgott, a great champion of this cause, often said that the most important people at Yom HaShoah are the children. It gave him immense pride to see so many young people taking part in these commemorations. This evening, I'm proud to say, is no different. Before you are over 157 children from 7 Jewish primary schools. From Alma, from Klor Tikva, Etz Chaim, Independent, Kerem, Rimon, and the Well Ilford Jewish Primary School. Yeah, absolutely, whoop and cheer. In a year focused on what comes next, their presence is essential. They represent the generation who will carry forward the responsibility of remembrance. This evening, they will sing Never Again, the Yom HaShoah UK anthem written and composed by Stephen Meltzak. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the future of our community.
We stand here today to represent the youth of our community. We recognise that no matter how many words are written, testimonies given, or images shown, we will never truly comprehend the enormity of the Shoah, a tragedy like no other for the history of our people.
We stand here in unity with Jewish youth across the UK and throughout the world to promise that the 6 million victims of the Shoah will never be forgotten.
We stand here to remember whole communities that were lost and a generation of Jewish children whose laughter was silenced by death.
We stand here to honour every survivor and refugee, to acknowledge all that they have achieved and to assure them that their legacy is secure in our hands.
We stand here to honour those who made great sacrifices and risked their own lives in order to save the lives of others.
We stand here in recognition of the impact the Shoah has had on our Jewish identity and on our community. Though we cannot shape the past, we can shape the future by remembering.
We stand here to pledge that the Shoah will have a permanent place in our community's memory and that we will come together each year on Yom HaShoah to pay tribute to all its victims.
Well done. Friends, the Shoah lives on in us, individually and communally, and each one of us has a duty to remember and honour all the victims of the Shoah and to ensure that their lives are neither forgotten nor denied. I ask each and every one of you here with us tonight and those watching at home, especially the members of the younger generations, once again to commit that the Shoah will have a permanent place in our community's memory and that we will come together each year on Yom HaShoah to pay tribute to all its victims. When there are no more survivors and refugees with us, we will be the witnesses to the awful events of the Shoah. And by remembering and bearing witness, we fulfill our duty to the dead and to the still living to pass the flame of their resemblance to the generations to come. And may that flame shine brightly and live on as the years pass by, fanned by the commitment we make tonight. In their name, we will never forget, and in that way, they will live on. Friends, in their name, and as we move to the conclusion of this evening's event, please join our chazanim and all of our choirs in Oseh Shalom, a heartfelt and moving appeal for peace, not only for our people, but for all the people of the world, a plea never more necessary than in these troubled times.
Shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imaru, amen.
Oseh shalom, v'romah, v'yaseh shalom, Shalom Aleinu, ve'akol Yisrael, ve'akol Yisrael, ve'maru, ve'maru, amen. Oseh shalom, shalom, ve'romah, Oseh Shalom, Shalom Biromah, Uyaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, V'yakol Yisrael, V'yakol Yisrael, V'yimaru, V'yimaru, Amen. Oseh Shalom, Shalom Biromah, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, V'yakol Yisrael, V'yakol Yisrael. Ve'imaru. Amen.
Friends, before we conclude, as we traditionally do, with Hatikva and the national anthem, I want on your behalf to thank all those who made today's very special event happen. We're very proud to be here in this magnificent sitting next to the Houses of Parliament, but you will appreciate that there are many complex issues to deal with to set up an event like this in this place, especially for so many of us who've gathered here today as one community to remember what happened 81 years ago and to reinforce our legacy pledge that we will never forget, and to ensure that the younger generations in our community carry the flame of remembrance forward. And so on your behalf, I want to thank all of our performers and contributors and the choirs and all of our supporters and funders who made it possible for this evening to happen. I want to thank the Royal Parks for giving us permission to be here. I want to thank the Board of Deputies Charitable Foundation, under whose umbrella this event takes place. I want to thank the City of Westminster. We're pleased to have the Lord Mayor of Westminster here with us tonight. I want to thank the St. John's Ambulance, the JLGB stewards, the police and the CST for looking after us tonight. And I want to thank the production team who made this evening happen. And a special thank you to all of you who are here with us in person and to the many thousands watching at home, but especially to our survivors who remain so important in everything that we do. And finally, I want to thank the Yom HaShoah Committee, led by the indefatigable Neil Martin CBE, without whom this event would not have happened. Please stand for Hatikva and the national anthem.
Come.
Good night to you all and have a very safe journey home. Thank you all for having been here with us. God, I'm speaking. Fantastic. Stephen, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. What happened to the Oseh Shalom again? What? Did you forget the Oseh Shalom reprise?
I don't know. They were going to do it. I don't know what's happened.
Can it be? Well done, children. Well done, everyone. Can we all stay on the stage? We're going to have a photo with the Chief Rabbi.